And welcome to another episode of Tu Salud. I'm your host, Joey Gallardo, and I'm always looking for new ideas and cutting edge information to provide to our audience on preventative health. Today, I'm talking to a good friend of mine, and let me tell you guys, I've gone to her for several reasons. She has had her own business called Body Synergy. She works as an integrative body worker. Her biotechnology and orthobionomy is out of this world. I can't tell you enough. I can't glorify the practice enough. It works so well that it's still affecting my body to this day. Patricia Gray, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joey. It's happy to be here with you.
Well, I am so pleased that we get to talk about what's going on with you.
Oh, I'm happy to talk about it. As you know, I love to talk about preventive health and things that we can do ourselves to make life better.
Well, today is a great day to talk about what's going on with your seminars. We've always talked about in the show about how we can find new information, and you got a series calling Your Spirit Home.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we talking about when we're getting into, things about looking within? You were bringing that out in that conversation we were having, why now? Why is it so important to have these issues come out now?
Well, I've had the feeling for a long time, I've been doing these workshops for more than 30 years, and since I've been in Las Cruces, I've only done a few. And just recently, I guess the Spirit was nudging me, and I started seeing and hearing people as I talked with them, they were talking about, the problems that they had, the feeling that they had, and I have a feeling that I recognize that so many people are just distressed. They don't know how to go within. And when I say go within, I mean there's a thing of I know, and then there's I know. And those are two different things. The I know is usually from knowledge that has come from out there and come in. And the I know is from inside out. It's sort of like orthobionomy works from inside out. And that's what I believe that we need to start to go within ourselves, get the knowledge. We talked earlier about elders and ancestors,
Yes,
and
yes.
the older people, the generations. They grew things, they worked with the seasons, they worked with the moons, they worked with all the natural, I'd say intuitive, I guess, forces that they had, and the knowledge from here. And we've gotten away from that, and people are just disturbed because there's so much input from media and other people defining us. And
we were kind of talking about that earlier. We were talking about how, and we use the strong words as programming, which we're using today,
yes.
But we're talking about how we're domesticated into this form of fear, that we're not confident enough to listen to our bodies. In my business, I'm always talking to my clients, what may be right for one person may not be right for another, because all day long there's all these herbal companies coming out saying, follow what I do what I do, dance how I dance, and you'll be okay.
That's right.
But the reality is they may not work for you. It may just work for person A and B, but C is totally left out.
That's right.
And they're afraid because they just don't have the
confidence and
self-awareness.
Yes, as we both said.
Yes.
And so and once you become self-aware, then you stop looking at all of the things that come from outside, from media, from other people. You can say, oh, well, let's talk about the body and the cells. I talk about this often. I think my phone message even has this, that every cell in your body is listening to everything that you say, think, how you treat it, and the input. So if we're always looking from the outside, if you told me, well, Patricia, you're too fat, and I started to program that and tell my cells I'm too fat, well, I'm definitely not going to get any thinner because my cells said, oh, you're saying I'm fat? And you're taking in that I'm fat? Well, my cells said, we can do the fat thing, make you fatter,
Yes, I tell you, that's so true.
Yeah, so when I think about people and talk with people, I'm thinking about how to look inside and erase the messages that we get from the media, from other people. Sometimes it's family. It's from childhood. We have these messages, and we are not going to this place that's still small voice within to try to make our lives better.
And sometimes we can be our worst enemy because there's so many times that we find ourselves not confident enough and we know the answer in our heart. I could tell you just even doing the show right here. I'm in my mind telling myself, okay, I got to say this, I got to act this way. And then you lose confidence and all of a sudden you blurp out the wrong things, you act the wrong way. For my clientele, it's so hard for them to understand that they have the capability and the word that we're using, and I believe you're using it on your next seminar, your next series, is spiritual precedes physical manifesting. Manifesting is such a huge word in my avenue of business because the reality is if you cannot create this person who believes that they deserve the right to be healthy, mind, body, and soul, they'll never get to the weight that they want. They'll never get to the health that they want. There's a book out there, Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements. And one of the things that in the book it was talking about is that so many times people will put fear in themselves. I have cancer. And they'll manifest cancer.
Yes, exactly.
I touch my shoe. Oh, I'm going to get a booger in my nose. Or so, they get so much fear put into themselves that they create the diversity themselves.
Yes, that's right. And the thing is, with cancer, the diagnosis is what kills a lot of people.
You're telling me I got cancer?
Yeah. Soon as someone says it depends on how you take that diagnosis, and get many diagnoses because one may be incorrect.
Sure.
But once you start to say, I've got the big C, that works on you. You start telling your body, and as I said again, your cells start to work with that information that you're putting in there. And so spiritual, everything that exists was first a thought.
Absolutely.
First some energy.
Yeah. Right.
And so our health is the same way.
Right.
I don't believe that people, in fact, I have clients sometimes that say, I've always had a bent back or a stiff neck walking this way because my father walked that way. Well, we are, we're watching someone else do something and we're doing that. So we're putting in our mind that
it's a learned process.
I have to have a hump back because my father had it, when there's nothing wrong with a person's spine. So the same thing with illnesses. If you perceive that this is the way it's supposed to be and you input that thought into your body, the spiritual is going to precede the physical, and you're going to create that in your body.
Let's talk about that. And I use the words that, now I've changed the way to identify the negative ego you're talking about versus knowledge that is within your spirit. So let's address that in your series. How can people go to the series and find out more about how to change that? Because it is about change. It is about betterness. It is about becoming, because everything's a thought process, and then it's a learned process. So there's the person wanting to change. How do they get that out of their system so they can start listening to themselves?
Number one, turn off the TV.
Not today, though.
Not today. But I think that as the series is called, Calling Your Spirit Home, and there's seven workshops, and each one addresses a different avenue of that. So if I think about calling my spirit home, what am I talking about? What is my spirit? So the spirit, to me, and if people, I think most people can identify with that something, that still small voice within, sort of like an intuitive kind of thing, something that you know. And again, I go back to here we know, and here is all the stuff that we have gathered from outside and from other people. So the workshops are designed to get people first. We do some breathing in the exercise. I start everyone off with some breaths. Breath is life, and most people do not breathe properly. So we do the breathing, and then I have different exercises. All the workshops are very interactive. People aren't going to just be sitting. I give what I need to give, and then I have people actually interacting with one another or doing things. They don't just sit and listen to me. It's not a lecture. So they have, one of them I had was people could not talk about their degrees and their house and their riches and their poverty or whatever. They had to meet with one another and find some common ground to talk about. Like if I were just meeting you and I have to introduce you to the group, I might ask you, what is the most beautiful thing in life to you?
Well, you stump people with that,
yes.
Because they don't think like that.
Or when you wake up in the morning, what is the thought that you have? What places, where have you ever wanted to go, and you can visualize that. So those are the kind of things that they talked about at the first workshop, and I'll have something similar at all of them, plus the breath. But I just want people to start to stop talking about
nonsense?
Yeah, nonsense. Yeah, it really is nonsense. I mean, we can all talk about the weather. We don't need to talk about the weather. We know the weather. We can see the weather. We're right here in the midst of it. So why are we talking about, oh, it's raining today, you know? So let's talk about something meaningful and go from here. Before you open your mouth, the exercise is called WAIT, W-A-I-T. Why am I talking?
Right, right.
And so people think before you talk, and you go within here and come from here rather than here.
And you and I were talking about this. The younger generation, unfortunately, I hate to downplay this, but we got to talk about this. We're not capable, and I'm part of it too because it's something that we're getting into. It's almost like you're not in unless you're in, but we're not capable of carrying a decent conversation face to face anymore.
That's right.
It has to be through text message. It has to be through Facebook, and unfortunately, we're becoming desocialized.
Yes.
And they're separating us.
That's correct.
Because you don't know how a person's reacting unless you can see their eyes, their face, their gestures.
That's right.
So, you know, what is your opinion on that?
Well, yeah, I love my computer, and I don't go on Facebook that often. I'm there, but I don't go on it that often.
You mean you don't tell people what you eat for dinner?
Oh, no.
And what you're going to read 2 seconds later?
In fact, I just got on Facebook a couple months ago, and people were shocked that I was on it. But but I feel that, like you and I talk, and we can see one another's reactions. We can see the gestures and the smile and the facial expressions. And so many younger people if they don't have that experience, they don't even know how to address you. If they meet you in person, they don't even make eye contact. So I think that's very important that we learn to do that. You know, it's just
it's a skill that we're losing.
And
they talk about it even in customer service. You know, people just don't know how to respond to people. You know, and unfortunately, our job force is it's not there yet, and it's getting worse.
That's right.
But it's unfortunate you can't talk to a young kid these days.
That's right.
And ask them for something as simple as, can I have
young,
a glass of ice?
Let's just take it, not only young kids, I mean, just people in general.
Sure, I shouldn't generalize, you're right.
So some people, they're so used to the computer because it's impersonal. They don't have to get involved. They don't have to have any feeling, any emotion, any feedback. So, hey, I can, like Facebook, I can spit out all my woes.
And then all these abbreviations. I hate you, and it's number 8 and stuff.
Yeah, and like the things that go on, the bullying and all the things that go on Facebook that I've heard stories.
No, it is true. You know, I have a young daughter, and it's so weird how people can just change people's behavior just by not wanting to be a part of this.
That's right.
So, you know, what we're going to talk about when we get back is we're going to talk about how this series is going to better people.
Okay.
Because I think people really need to hear this. I think I'm going to go to several of these. Looking at some of these classes myself, I cannot tell you how tremendous it is that I have found people such as yourself willing to help me with this. So when we get back from the break, we're going to look about how these series are going to help you, what's the developmental stages, what is going to be coming up, as well as how we can better ourselves. And once again, the show is always about preventative health.
Yes.
We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Burke, and I have a confession to make. I have a serious crush on my workout. Hip, fun, and always a challenge. Jazzercise is the total package. It's the only workout that I've ever truly loved. Does it show? That's because I'm in the best shape of my life. What a difference Jazzercise makes. When's the last time your workout swept you off your feet? Find a class near you at jazzercise.com.
Celebrate, celebrate, Fiesta Motors.
Come and see us today and discover why our service is second to none. In business for over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, we do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there.
Celebrate Fiesta Motors, where buying a car is always a celebration.
You found us on Channel 98. keep watching because we have so much in store for you. We want to grow together. Your channel, local and real.
If you're looking for a new pet that you can cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are full of healthy, loyal, fun, loving pets, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, you can visit theshelterpetproject.org.
And we're back. Hi, my name is Joey Gallardo. I'm your host of Tu Salud, a show that's into preventative health. We're here talking with my good friend Patricia Gray, and we're talking about her new series that she's doing, Calling Your Spirit Home. The next section is going to be called Spiritual Precedes Physical Manifesting. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
What are we going to get until? I know that Calling Your Spirit Home series has several different classes involved. There's going to be 6 more. They're going to be held at MIT, the Massage Therapy Training Institute over in Picacho, 2701 West Picacho, and they're $20.
Yes.
I mean, order now and you get 2 for the price. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what is this on the manifesting and the spiritual precedes physical.
Okay, manifesting, and many people only think about manifesting as creating. When they think about it, most of the things are about prosperity is money. But there are other things we need to manifest. We need to manifest health. We need to manifest good relationships. We need to manifest love. And when I talk about love, so many things that we do are unloving.
Such as?
Well, we criticize people, judgment of other people. You know, that's not loving. I mean, who are we to judge? Who would I be to judge you and say this is not right?
You're telling me X Factor and all this isn't worth watching?
So I think love, relationships, health, just emotional. There are a lot of people. I had at my last workshop these 21-day ties. People, I have some on here, and for 21 days you put on a tie, you know, something to remind you to keep repeating whatever it is you want. And so this was part of the last workshop, and I think a lot of people started thinking about, boy, what do I really want it to change in my life? So you can do it this way or write it on a board, but manifesting is going within you first, deciding what it is that you really desire. Putting down a list of prioritizing. You can make a list and prioritize. Let's say, you know, you want a car, but do you want the car, you know, this particular kind of car? Why do you want this car? What is a car going to do for you? And start thinking of all the ways. If you got a Lexus, beautiful new Lexus, you know, is that really what you want? That's what you're saying, but think about all the other things. Why do you want it?
So we're talking about materializing. I mean, from the aspect of you handling the vehicle to the kind of stereo system you want and why you want these things. Because as you integrate, and I'm going to bring in Einstein in science because I always talk like a nerd because I am one, being a biologist. They're harmonious strings. You start bringing in this energy that you start collecting
exactly,
what you want.
Exactly. The energy, you said the right word. You bring in the energy for what you want. And I've done this many times, and sometimes the things did not come to pass right away. There were some things that I have lists of things that I prioritized, and I changed and put the list back and forth. And I've seen some of those things, very simple things, and I went back and pulled the list out that I might have done 7 years ago, and I said, wow, that happened. Wow, that happened. Just, me being in Las Cruces was one that I have an image book that I used, and I looked and I said, wow, boy, these things have happened. So it was maybe 10 years, but you put that energy around it. First thing, you talk about detoxing.
Yes.
Well, you have to detox the mind
from the clutter
and emotions. and you can't plant seeds in a ground that's all messed up and got rocks, and that it's not, I don't know if the word fallow or whatever, there's some word for gardening, but you want to have a pure, clean place to plant. So that's the same thing with you're going to manifest. People say, oh, I want this, I want $1 million. Why do you want $1 million? Start thinking about what would you do with it. A fool and his money are soon parted.
Right.
So if you've got this money, but you don't know what you're going to do with it, your mindset is not ready for it. So when we start talking about manifesting, first thing, the spiritual, a thought manifests, good or bad, can manifest.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on the energy that you put with it.
Absolutely.
And so you first, I just turned to a page here, and I'll talk about that for just a minute, because you have to guard the gates to your spirit. And by guarding the gates to your spirit, I mean that you don't let other people, there are unwelcome guests that come into your spirit, conversations that you wish to avoid, people you wish to avoid, meals that could cause you problems.
Oh, there we go. You just talked about a subject. Yeah. Why do we bring, well, it's so true, because so many times my clients keep depending on me to change them. And I keep telling them, no, I am just a guide. I'm your tour guide in asking of what you're asking of yourself. You need to deplug and desensitize yourself to things that are coming into your body. And you just brought up the food aspect. As soon as you put it in, you should be able to tell within an hour, this is good for me.
That's
this
right.
is not good
That's
for me.
right. And even more than that, you sense, you know what's good for you. Like you're sitting there with this huge bag of potato chips. Instead of eating one or two, getting a little bowl, you sit there and eat until you just feel, you eat so many you feel greasy,
They even have a slogan.
And sugar. So, some people are very, very sensitive to sugar.
The addiction, yeah.
So you need to, just think, this is not, I know this isn't good for me. If let's say, let's go out to eat. And we go out to eat, but we know, we're going somewhere that I don't usually eat, and I know that kind of food is not good for me. If I don't have any kind of self-discipline and guard the gates to what I'm allowing in, then I'm going to be sick. So the same thing with the mind and the spirit. You have to guard the gates. Anger, gossip, judgment, going places that you really don't want to go. Somebody invites you, and your gut feeling is, I don't want to do that. So when you start manifesting, you're manifesting away from the bad, what you don't want, and manifesting what you do want.
And looking at the schedule here, it looks like we're going to have dates here coming up. The 13th of October, the 10th of November, the 8th of December, the 12th of January, the 9th of February, and March 9th. And all this will conclude things that you've talked about. You and I have talked about this on a book that you wrote. So, you've been doing this. Give them we got maybe tops 5 minutes here. Give me a 3-minute convolute on how the book brought you to this.
Okay. This is called Spirits Rising Workbook. This was done in 2002. It was a workshop that I did in Detroit. And it is time for you to call your spirit home. A new adventure begins, because I believe that it's like changing your life. When you start listening from within, and all the workshops will be going into helping you to better listen to yourself and to change your life. That's what I'm hoping. I can't change people's lives, but I'm planning on giving tools that will help them to make these changes. Very simple tools. Some of them are just very, very simple tools that people know, and I believe all knowledge is within. I'm not telling anyone anything that they don't know. I'm trying to make them reconnect with the knowledge that they have.
And we go back into that word, fear. They are too afraid because they're not the doctors, they're not the lawyers, they're not, they have this big idea that they just cannot conceive that they have the power.
That's right.
And the key word you and I like to use, the empowerment to change people's lives is what you and I do.
Because if they think about the power they have, there's responsibility involved.
Oh, God forbid I'm responsible for my own weight. God forbid I'm responsible for my children growing up, right?
So that's
a fear, yeah.
So we fear that power that we have, we fear using and taking control of our lives.
And I think and this comes back to me talking about how we're starting this conversation. Why now? let's finish off this topic. Why now? Why? I mean, I have answers myself. You know, there's the media, there's the politics, there's all this junk that's just filling our minds and taking our attention away from what we need to do for ourselves.
That's right. And we feel, most people are feeling that they don't have the power over their finances, over their health, over any aspects of their lives. And we need to actually look at that and know that we can do this. And stop letting other people, letting the outside. And I felt now, because of the number of people that I see, it's sort of like a feeling, overall feeling in society. And we have more, most of us have more than we'll ever use. That's why we have so many yard sales. But, we don't feel secure. We don't feel safe and secure.
I'll tell you one thing that a friend taught me, and this was when I was transitioning into what I was going to do with the gym and the personal training. He took me to the junkyard and literally said, wow, look at that. At one time, someone did everything humanly possible to get that in their house, and look at where it ended up.
That's right.
Then he took me to the graveyard and said, wow, look at that. At one point, someone loved this person so much. She was a mother, she was, a sister, a daughter. So we're losing the idea of what we're doing on this planet.
That's exactly right. That's why the planet is in trouble, and it's a sort of a sense that everyone has that things are bad, things are not good, and so the politicians, the politicians, medical professions, they feed into that and just feed you more.
And it's a moneymaker,
That's right.
You're not safe unless you pay me $19.99, and pay now.
Yeah, yeah. If I can tell you that you have the big C, and you fall into that, you're going to do everything that millions of dollars worth of medicines and treatments and stuff. People go bankrupt because someone told them that, rather than trying to use something natural or heal themselves.
So, this has been a great conversation. I know you and I could sit here and do this
Yes,
for hours.
yes,
I believe
Joey.
that you and I are in the same limelight, and that's what drove me to doing this show, is teaching people to my best of my ability, having friends come on and showing them how we can be part of this oneness and healing and helping people. Because the bottom line is, if we don't get out there and do what we can to participate and do things that'll better our brothers, our sisters, our husbands, our wives, we're leaving this planet in the shell shock that it's in right now. And I think we have the power and we can manifest this to create. So once again, this is Joey with my friend Patricia Gray. I've been having a great conversation with you. I hope all is well with you as it is with you've given me my blessings. I thank you so much for being my friend.
Thank you, Joey.
This has been another episode of Tu Salud. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again.